Ooh wee! Y'all know me and this technology, we just takes forever to get it right. But boy, do we have it right today, as in Ladosha Wright and Cheryl Morrow. I'm really, really, really excited. I'm in my office today. Can you tell?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so I just took a little tour of my little office here. You know, everybody's like, "What? Do you just do hair?" No, believe it or not, we don't just do hair. Isn't that right, Cheryl?
No, we don't. No, we don't.
We actually, yeah, I decided to be in my office today because you're going to be talking about Afro Cosmetology. So I just wanted people, I wanted to swing around. It's just, there it is. I have I actually have real life books in my office. You see that? Oh, yeah, I got some real books in there. Yeah, so we're not just hairstylists who does hair. We actually have books. And we're definitely for the community. As you can see back here, I've got some posters of some think tanks that I used to do before the pandemic. Every year we would do these think tanks, and hopefully today will be another example of a think tank that we can get into about Afro Cosmetology. But you know, there's still, we got our little, let me just bring these things in. Here we go here. Making sure I just got us all up in the chat here, making sure we don't miss nobody. And throw our little banners down there. There we go, because people always, where y'all books at? So we've got books there. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. I was looking on, I always turn to Google to see what the, the current events, like, what's happening. And I see, the schools are really having an issue with teachers. So I find that interesting as we talk about Afro Cosmetology. Here you are wanting to bring something new into the education in the world of cosmetology, but we have teachers are leaving the field of education. And Columbus, which is a very large city here in Ohio, their teachers just went on strike. What's going on? What's your opinion about teachers are just like, they just they say they can't take it. What y'all think? Are we dogging teachers out, or what is it?
I don't think they're allowed to teach. I think it's become a pipeline, assembly line, and they don't feel empowered.
It's funny you would say that, because they've really been talking about this a lot. On the news, this one teacher, she was from Somalia, and she said that she was not allowed to talk about Africans, place like in history. And so that was the moment that makes me want to holler, that she gave it up. So but the CRT, I mean, what I'm trying to, teachers are important. Are we gonna go there? I mean,
the unbelievable part about it is that here they go. I mean, it's like it's a different kind of racism. It's almost like now they want to stop the evolution of the browning of the world. And I give you guys the numbers. I think last time, Africa is the median age is, I think 19 years of age. All continents. I mean all countries.
Okay.
Within the African continent. And the United States thing is 27. In Latin America, maybe 12 or 13. And so you're talking about old populations. Japan is about 56. Europe is about 49. America is around that age. So just imagine those 19-year-olds, 27-year-olds, 13-year-olds are 52, 48. Who's going to be on the planet? I mean, you can't stop it by policy and rules and regs. It's going to happen.
Another thing, I just, wow. I mean, I remember a lot of my teachers. One of my teachers, I talk about him all the time, Mr. Catledge, and I just, I think we've got to, I don't know, rethink. I don't know. I don't know. Is it the parents? Is it the politicians? It's so large. I can't begin to tap in. To even like kind of get it on the tip of the pen. But in addition to talking about teachers, that was it's taking a deep dive that teachers are not quite being respected. The other group of professions, and we, you and I talked about this on the phone, are journalists. Now, I put in the chat, that they basically said journalism is going down. And so, but nobody took nobody wanted to respond to it. I usually get comments on that one, but journalism, they was like, whoa, I ain't about to mess with no journalism. So, which I was surprised. I'm surprised that nobody said anything. But I think his name was, he was on CNN, and I don't even know his name because I don't watch TV. I just so happened to, I think his name was Brian Stutzer or something, and he had a show about, I guess like, like, getting the facts or something along that. So his show had been cut, and so there was I guess the new CEO of CNN, they was kind of maybe alleging that he cut this guy's show, and so they were talking about just how journalism is the journalists are not the same. And so one of the ladies came on and she said something that you said. She felt that social media had a lot to do with the demise of journalism. So I know we're here on this podcast and like, y'all the ones messing it up. Y'all doing this podcasting. Are we in the way of journalism doing these types of things? Blogs, vlogs, are we taking away from the journalist?
I don't think they crossed. I think what we're doing is more of the modern day talk show. I think that these are recorded conversations. We've had those before.
Yeah. So what's your take on journalism before we hop into this topic of Afro Cosmetology? Right there on CNN, they said journalism is going down. The one guy said, I think he was from San Francisco, I believe, and he said that the journalists, they have to be prepared to not make a lot of money and work their way, through and learn, this whole, craft of journalism. So,
well, if you're going to work your way through, you have to climb the ladder. And then you have to prepare for low salaries, up to evolutional salary upgrade. But podcasting has taken that to another level. So hey, technology is forward. But I will say that journalism, especially black news, takes courage. And it has always taken courage. So, I mean, you're going to get the dollar in the bag, or are you going to be truthful and have your soul?
Right. Yeah. The other gentleman, he talked about, because he said, we do have more black people, on TV now more than ever. And the black guy said, yeah, but we're still reporting from a white male lens. And I was like, he just looked at us.
That's the dollar. Are you gonna? They're paying you. If I was paying you, you'd say what I told you to say. So you have to get off their time. And let me just say this. You cannot confuse position with power. And black people keep trading power for the position. There is no proof that there is any upward mobile direction, benefits, power, advantages, options, advantages that is connected with a position. A position of any politician, civil rights, no CEO, no nothing has ever rendered you any different orientation, position, or anything. It just looks good. Makes you feel good. Yeah. It has an emotional attachment or a symbology. It doesn't do anything. In fact, it actually does the opposite. When a white person names a black person to a position, just know you're going to get less of that thing.
Well, this is
just know it.
Yeah, this is the world in which we live in. But if you got some hair on your head and it has a lot of texture and you want to know a little bit more about it, well, guess what? You are in for a royal treat this evening. The topic tonight is about Afro Cosmetology. So someone said they hear a little feedback when you're talking. Say something else. Hold on, we're going to do a little test. Thanks so much, Nadia. We appreciate that. So we're going to start talking.
Headphones.
Okay, let's see it again. Nadia, let us know once we get it going if you hear feedback. We appreciate that. So we're going to go ahead on and jump into the topic. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're actually on our 17th episode. So y'all rolling out with us. We appreciate you guys very much. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button or whichever platform you're on, be it on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Also share the content. I'm sure we're not the only cosmetologists and the only people out here who are very interested in Afro hair and to what we have to offer. But tonight we're going to be talking about Afro Cosmetology. And so here I have this is a book. This isn't my book. It actually belongs to Denise West. And she is the cosmetology. Well, she's big wigging over in East Cleveland when it comes to the vocational education of cosmetology. So this is her book, and this is actually one of the first cosmetology books. This is no. I'm sorry. Actually, this is mine. Someone gave this to me off of Twitter. I'm sorry. Believe it or not, someone gave this book to me off of Twitter. This is one of the very first cosmetology books, and so I ain't gonna open it up, but y'all can best believe there was nothing in this book about Afro hair. Now, last week you spoke to, you just gave us a little bit about how cosmetology became a profession and why education is important as we move forward. So let's hop into it. We know, guys, this is not Afro Cosmetology, but there was a beginning. So I wanted to have the book to see, so you guys could see that there was a beginning here. But now we want to take a fork in the road, if you will, and we want to add on to this education of cosmetology with Afro Cosmetology. So, Cheryl, how about we explore it, explain it, what it is, and you guys get your questions all ready. I'm a licensed cosmetologist, and we'll talk a little bit more about what's happening in the world of cosmetology when it comes to Afro hair. And then Nadia, you're going to be our sound check person and let us know how Cheryl is sounding. So I appreciate you very much, Miss Nadia. So Cheryl, take it away. What is Afro Cosmetology? Are you trying to divide us? I thought it all was hair. I know some people in the chat I ain't saying nothing because the last I checked, we all was human, we all have hair. So why does what is Afro Cosmetology?
since we started the conversation, I think it was critical race theory that you had mentioned. Why is that met with such angst and fear? How am I sounding?
Yeah, we're gonna see what she say. Okay, she ain't said nothing yet. Whoops, let's take that out. Hide that.
How am I sounding?
Sounds good here.
I know there's a delay in my earphones.
Okay, she said, I think
okay.
all this was, yeah.
Okay.
No, wait, Tiffany said it is echoing. Thank you, Tiffany. She says we got a little echo.
Is it echoing now? Is it echoing now?
Okay, we got a little minute here. Okay, so far, no one has come through, but I guess all is well. So if it is, I'm looking down at my phone. Thank you guys so much. She said it's still the same. Thanks, Tiffany. So maybe slide the earphones. Yeah, they said they could still hear the echo. Yeah. All right. Okay. Here we go.
That better?
All right. All right, guys. How's she sounding?
I don't know. I can come in and come back out.
Okay. We're going to try to come out and then come back in, and let's see how that sounds. Okay.
I'm going to turn my volume better. If I turn my volume.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, everybody's saying they still hear an echo. Yeah.
They still hear an echo. My speakers are off.
Yeah, they still hear the echo. Yeah, Tiffany, yeah, they're saying they still hear. Thanks, guys. We appreciate that. We're just trying to get it. How about you come on out and come back in?
Okay.
All right, so she's going to come out, and we appreciate that. In the meantime, while we're waiting for her to come back in, I want to let you guys know tonight we got some goodies, some giveaways. We're talking about Afro hair, so I'm going to give away some of our clarifying shampoo, and this one has that nice minty, tingly feel that we all love when we get our hair shampooed, some leave-in conditioner, and of course, what is an afro without some afro sheen or pink lotion sheen? So I'm going to give that away today. So we're going to bring Cheryl back in, and let's try this one more again. All right, here we go. All right, so let's see how's it going. Go ahead on and say something. We got Judy, we got our Canadian babe is in the house. We got Tiffany, Sabrina, Nadia. Thank you so much. So Cheryl, let's try it again.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that better?
That sounds really good. Okay. All right, let's go. I think being closer may have helped. So we're going to hop right into it, and we're going to discuss right now what is Afro Cosmetology, why is it, we're going to go the who, what, when, where, how. We're going to go through all of that. Okay, they said no echo. Thank you so much, Canadian babe. Thank you. There's no echo. So Cheryl, take it away.
All right. So you mentioned at the beginning of the show the CRT. And I think that when black educators or any other educator tries to shed light on a broader perspective of what is anything that is standard. And straight hair is what you call standard. And what standardizing anything leaves out the gamut of the population and only caters to the smallest, most insignificant population. So it forces the gamut, the general population, what we call majority, to try to fit into a standardized, minimized, low or little or the smallest population. And those thought forms that are attached to the small population cannot be shared, applied. It doesn't enhance. It doesn't improve. You can't use it for the majority or the dominant population. So the dominant population has to act like and exist in reality as if their attributes, phenotypes, phenotraits, gene expression, texture, skin color, eye color, features don't exist. And so when they begin to beautify, healthcare, any type of art form, you must do it from the rules, the techniques, methods of a group that doesn't apply to you. Not even the least. So
wait a minute. So someone, I mean, honestly, you know, someone might say that statement is kind of racist because, you know, there's only one type of a human. So, because that's what we're always hearing in school when we would bring up the difference, you know, in our hair, you know, the race thing always came up. So we could never get to the reality that the Afro hair is different. So what do you say to people who would say to you, you know, that statement right there that you're trying to say, like, you know, this whole book, yeah, we know from the beginning of time this book has straight hair, and but we've tried, Cheryl, this is the new book, and we're trying to show some diversity. So what do you say to that?
Well, diversity has always existed. That's what makes it beautiful. That's what makes it, that's what makes hair care and cosmetics and, you know, all of that beautiful. The problem is not with straight hair as an inclusion, but not the principle. It is the exception. Curly Afro textures are the rule. And every subsequent knowledge base is from the broadest perspective, because curly hair is not rare. It is ubiquitous. It is what nature has naturally selected to be the dominant prototype. It is the archetype. It is the hair in nature selects hair to be that on just about every basic, powerful gene expression. It is the number one gene expression. It's dominant. So when you have a curriculum that is accredited on the state level and it's federally recognized as the gospel and the standardized truth, well, you're leaving out the majority and the ubiquitous prototype, the hair type. That is, there's only, like you said, the oldest human hair on the planet is Afro curly hair. So why can't we not try to reverse the standardizing, but to have an equal sharing of space? Because if you're going to diversify, well, that's what diversify means. But standardize anything cannot be diversified. It's the opposite. Makes sense? And so, well, you know, and I tell people all the time, the most diversified labor workforce is a plantation, but is it diversified? You got
nope.
So you got white people over there, black people over there, you have black other people over there. I mean, it's not what we were talking about. We're not talking about in terms of the presence and the skin color and the cultures of people. We're talking about power.
Okay, let me say this. So I remember having this discussion in cosmetology school, and my instructor said, you know, you black girls, y'all just straightening y'all hair out anyway. So we're not gonna have this discussion because you know I was the one with the college degree, so they should call me college girl. So I know we haven't got into it, but thanks for the compliment about my straight hair because y'all know I'm trying to be white today. What about that? Maybe they're saying, you know, black people are going to straighten it out anyway, so we have to teach that from that perspective. I mean, we hear you, Cheryl, but you guys are going to straighten it out, so we might as well just do it all from straight hair. Hollywood is straight hair. Everything is straight hair.
But straight hair for a black person is part of the wonderful spectrum of what Afro curly hair can do. Straight hair is on the planet, and black people can straighten their hair because it's curly, not because it has some distinctive position on the planet. See, that's not the same subject. Afro curly hair allows straight hair to exist. You couldn't enjoy the straightness unless it was curly. So you have to recognize the curliness and the dominance of the coil because it gives you, because a coil, once you straighten it out, is a flatter hair strand than even straight hair that grows out of an Asian, an Eskimo, or a Native American, or a European. Their hair is rounder. So your hair has a benefit because it's dominant to be softer and flatter once it's flat ironed or straightened or pressed. That's why most Europeans will say when black people straighten their hair, oh my God, it's different than their straightness. It's a different feel. It just feels different and it behaves different. But that's because the hair is Afro textured, not because it is the array and the arrangement and the variety and the transition that dominant hair strands give you because they are coiled in nature. That's why the curriculum is very important.
All right. So I was told what makes this better is if I mute my mic. So thank you so much, Ebony. I appreciate you very much for that. So what we're saying, guys, is they do teach this here. And I just got a little book here because I know we got some people that's gonna be like, They do teach us that the mouth of the follicle has a different shape or size, and that's how we're getting our texture. So that removes the whole, you know, all black people have this Afro textured hair. So where we're going with this is that we don't care what color your skin is. If you have this texture of hair, we need more education about this hair, regardless of your self-assignment to race or ethnicity or culture, regardless of what they say. That curly, tightly coiled, textured hair has its own science, and Cheryl is talking about that today. So go ahead, Cheryl.
Now, when you hold up that book again, okay, you notice that you will see those three as in shapes. Those are not really the shape, but it's a good depiction. But you see how they have the round hair in the front. And then the second one is akin to other Mediterranean types of people. And then the curly will be third or fourth or fifth. Afro Cosmetology wants everyone to understand that the curly shape is first and is the archetype of all hair shapes. And what makes that important is because what happens in the evolution from the flat to make a coil creates an axis, then makes a complete turn and makes a coil. What makes that, why is that the dominant prototype and makes it the archetype of all shapes in geomancy on the planet? But what is the evolution process of what makes that to unfold and create straightness? That's the conversation. That is the scientific conversation. How does curly hair, in terms of evolution, get straight? And that is the conversation they don't want you to have. They want you to have the straight hair in front so you can work your way back to another conversation that is not logical and applicable to science, biology, and geometry. And so it's just very hard to have the conversation the other way, because it's not logical the other way. The other, as the hair gets unflat, the hair gets straight. Why is that? Why is that a recessive prototype? Is the hair losing charge? Is there less energy, or is it less iron, or less, is there the deficiencies? What is going on? Because nature is choosing the coil as first. And when you have that, there are first and features and gene expressions that cause all the phenotraits to look like. Natural selection is choosing darker skin. Natural selection is choosing thicker lips. Natural selection is choosing shorter people, the twa, or the of people, the pygmy. Why did nature choose those particular phenotraits? And so we want cosmetology. It is easier to get the chemistry, get everything making sense when you are starting from the mother texture, because that is what nature chose. That is what's oldest. That is what's first.
Okay, so here we go again. We're talking about all roads are leading back to Africa. And so are you saying that the conversation about textured hair should begin with the same conversation of human evolution and genetic expression? Is that what you're saying?
Well, in cosmetology, Cosmo and Cosmet are connected because we are in charge of taking a principle in terms of esoterics, and then we are creating it and adorning it and creating forms that are also aligned with celestial or terrestrial energies and geometry and all that wonderful stuff. What I am saying is, no matter where we were on the planet, regardless of Australia, no matter how India, doesn't matter in that you're in the north, because there's curly hair in the north. I guess one of the things that it is very hard to get Black people to wrap around their mind is that their genes have been on the planet so long that their genes have produced recessive shapes, such as, you've had an African with blue eyes at some point. You've had Africans to evolve into having softer, straighter hair of your oldest African population, such as Ethiopians and Somalians and Kush and Nubians. There's no one way to look African. However, the Afro textured coil is a very significant hair because it grows very dominant, and it's just not growing out of your head just because you're African. There is a lot going on genetically which makes the gene express so dominant. So your hair is not just growing straight out of your head like a stubble and out of your head like Europeans. It is twisting. It's not just shooting out. It is your bulb, your hair follicle is accommodating a twist. and it's twisting and it's sitting in an axis and it's twisting, making a coil. The mouth of the follicle is not, and one of the reasons why this is important is because Europeans will tell you the mouth of the shape of your opening of your follicle is making the hair twist as if you have a pair of scissors pulling on a string and it coils. This is not practical. This is chemical. This is genetic.
Hold up. In the chat, everybody is like, you got fire bombs blowing off things. Everybody is like, oh my gosh. But let me just say, I cannot get her name. Jesus. Okay, we're going to have a part 2 to this. Please, let's do this. There is I got to look it up. I'm sorry, guys. So let me just say this. They are teaching. I have been taught, I've repeated it, that it is the mouth of the follicle that determines the texture and type of hair. So this, she is getting her PhD. Her name is Tina Lasasi. And so Tina Lasasi is on a let's just say an expedition, if you will. She's on a mission to explain this Afro hair. So how are we going to teach about it? Number one, if what we've been taught about the shape of the mouth of the follicle determining the texture, you're saying that's not the truth. And then number two,
let me give you an example.
Okay, I'm off. Here we go.
Okay, let me give you an example. When people get a relaxer or a chemical service, and when I say chemical service, I am meaning taking the skin to acid or to alkaline and keeping the memory there of that particular process. What do you think the mouth of that follicle does? Okay, it has an immune response. Okay, all right. Either alkaline will clean the surface of the skin in the reaction, or if it's acidic, okay, crunches up the skin. Okay. Now, what do you think happens to the surface of that pore or that mouth of that particular follicle? If it doesn't like the pH, it will begin to what? It'll have an immune response.
Usually, it'll tingle a little bit.
Right. But it will say to the immune system, injury. So all of the little capillaries, all of the little keratinocytes and all the little things to go to that injury, like a little ambulance, okay? And it will cause some kind of little soreness or inflammation, okay? And it will swell. When you have inflammation, the hole will what? Go smaller because of the swelling. So the hole gets smaller because of the swelling, right? Okay, so you do that until the next 4 weeks, right? But the person says, right, I have some new growth. Okay. And over the years, in my study and in Dr. Morrow's study called the scrunch theory, people who do have high pHs, regardless if it's sweat, it doesn't make a difference. At high pHs, the follicles will shrink. Okay. Or they'll start to minimize. Okay. Now, why does that follicle still produce nappy hair? If that theory is true, that the mouth will determine the kinkiness.
I would say, now, first of all, I'm putting myself out here, guys. I did not know, what you're saying is like it's throwing everything off for me in my brain for what I've been taught. But I'm not taught that the chemical can affect the mouth of the follicle, because the shape of the mouth of the follicle is a genetic assignment. This is what I was told, and that is given to you at birth. So let's take our cancer patients who will lose their hair and it comes back really soft, and then as they live in it more, their texture comes back. So people think that, the texture, they don't want it to go back to the kinky texture. You know what I'm saying? They like it when it was coming back. So my understanding is that the mouth of the follicle, that shape, is genetically assigned. It can't,
Well, let me ask you a question. Did the chemotherapy that killed some of the fat and the maturation of what is going on in that factory of that follicle, once chemotherapy, the oncogenes will say, okay, we got to, preserve this person. Let's shut down the hair follicles. Let's shut that down. Let's shut down some things that they don't need right now. Okay. And to slowly get those particular cell productions back in employment. The first stage of employment, what does the hair come back looking like?
Really soft.
Okay.
It's it's really soft, and that's the texture everybody wants it to stay at.
Now, that would be akin to what we call a vellus level, right? Feathery, soft, smooth, right? Okay. So that must mean that dominant gene has a phase. So why didn't the gene just go into straight nappy? If there is not a dominant process, the dominance is the spectrum. You are the gamut. Everything comes from you. So you are packed with everything. So that means that there's stages to you maturating as a Black. That's why Black children will be born with amniotic fluid hair. It'll be feathery, but it's immature. Well, some levels, all hair matures, but it's a level to your dominance. You just don't come out dominant. There's a stage that there's a lot of energy that goes into a Black person. You have a stage to you. There's a dominance to you. So that hair that you're talking about is not determined by the mouth of the whole. It's about the spectrum of getting back to optimal health. And optimal health is a coiled, strong, thick, coiled hair strand. That's the zenith. If it's compromised, it has to go back down to the other stages. That's why Afro curly hair cannot be 4 and straight hair be 1. It's not logical because genes don't express itself that way, especially if you're of African descent. There is a code within the papilla. There is an electromagnetic field code that is in your follicles that is determining, has nothing to do with a practical shape of a mouth of a follicle. Because if that's the case, let's just not say all hair is the same, because it's optically different. Then people would say all scalps are the same. And we all know that we can look at a Black baby in about 12, 13, that hair will not be looking like that. So all hair cannot be the same because all human genes do not maturate the same. So it's not a whole that's determined, and it's not a practicality. It is a chemical house in your genes that are determining your dominance. That's what I'm saying.
Wow. I mean, the chat is real silent. We're like crickets. You are blowing my mind. I'm very excited and anxious for you to be hosting the Afro Cosmetology class that's going to be coming up. Before we move on, just a couple of shout outs. I see you, Divine, in the chat. Miss Woodward, I see you. Tiffany, we still see you in the chat. Sabrina, thank you guys so much here on YouTube. Ebony Exotic Beads, thank you so much. I know for a fact, she said Miss Sophia was like, oh, I hope I didn't miss it. No, Miss Sophia, you definitely didn't miss it. We're just getting started. And of course, we've got my homegirl, Miss Judy, all the way from Canada. We always appreciate you guys so much for rocking it out with us. And Nadia, we surely appreciate you for getting us together on our sound. So thank you. And Tiffany, and I learned something new, to just mute that mic, and that's going to make things sound better. So let's just keep this conversation moving. So now, you are upsetting the status quo, and so this is, I don't really even like that word, status quo, but so we've been getting like status quo really, well, we got to start somewhere. So they introduced these concepts to us. So and I think Ebony, we both was in it, because I'm like, we both like, damn, we in the chat like, woo. So the whole the hair mapping, it's in the cosmetology books. I interviewed a cosmetology teacher, Brenda Hatton, and she talked about the problems and the challenges with the hair mapping. So you're talking a cognitive restructuring for all of us when it comes to this straight hair being number one and the coily hair being number four. That's one. And then number two, there's so much more to this coily hair than the texture that meets the eye. So can you talk about why it's got to be flipped? Because now people are going to be saying, y'all tripping. Black people just, y'all getting sensitive, and now all of a sudden y'all got to be number one. What difference does it make if 4 is 4 and 1 is 1? It's all going to come out. That's number one. And then, number two, can you just go into it just a little bit more about, what science is saying about that mouth of the follicle? Because people in the chat are like, yeah, we want to know why you got to switch it.
It's important to switch it, because we won't have certain conversation if we don't switch it. And let's just say this. I never say number one, because I don't care of who's number one. I care about saying, because see, when you say the number, it don't mean nothing, people. You have to say the word first, second, third, fourth. That means something, because when you're talking about genes and you're talking about science and you're talking about biology, first means that you were first here, first gene expression, first on the planet, first Homo sapien. For what and why those pictures are so important. Why does iconology so important? Why is image so important? Because it places you geographically, biologically, terrestrial, cosmically, and it places you in archaeology, archetypes. Then we start talking like scientists, and also start talking and then matching. So our conversation is different once we create a correct chronological human genome expression kind of evolution.
Let me interrupt right quick. Let me just say this. I'm going to interrupt you. So basically, if we go the route you're taking, and guys, please forgive me for what I'm about to say, but I just got to say it, okay? Because I'm Key Lolo. I'm not as smart as Cheryl. I'm from the projects. I'm just speaking from my own experience. I'm not saying all people from the projects represents what I'm about to say. I'm talking about me. So people in the projects, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me, okay? So what you're saying is, if we shift this conversation to the way that you're saying, we gonna take that nigga shit out of hair. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. 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 Well, and two, we are going to understand that the world is curly like every plant, every botanical, every flower, every movement, every space, every site, everything. We are now part of a human experience in evolution that is not just as above, so below, but within and without. Nothing, everything curls. Everything. Everything coils. Everything spirals. Everything moves. And I keep saying to you guys that when you guys don't understand, you cannot have coiled hair and have it motionless. Straight hair grows out of a shoot. Your hair screws and it coils and it goes around. It don't worry about length first. It's worrying about dominance and spiraling and curling and making complete. There is a thing called curl math. It ain't nothing called straight hair math. There's no such thing as straight math. It's called curl math, if you guys want to Google it. Curl math is akin to energy mass equals c squared. It's called energy, curl math. Everything grows from a dot, grows into the golden proportion, and circles out. Even your everything follows a rule. The genetics is dominant. That's the dominant rule. That is the law of growing. Everything grows out of a spiral and a curl and a coil. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying as you get further away from the master and you get away from the genes that create this dominant expression, the more you move out, the less energy, and then you have the evolution, and then you have less dominant features because the genes have less energy. That's what I'm saying. Less blackness. That's what I'm
saying. I ain't gonna tell y'all no fib, as my BFF Kevin Chilhard would say. Don't cook it up, look it up. And the girl ain't lying. It is a such thing called curl mathematics. Are you guys? See, this is what we call unapologetically African, guys. A new conversation. When I told y'all I wrote this book, I'm going to tell you right now, this book right here says what? It's time for a new conversation about hair. I could not have the conversation because I don't know what she knows. But I'm telling y'all, I knew it was more to it than meet the eye. Ebony, you're like me. We like curl math. She done dropped the bomb. This right here is just blowing our minds. So this Afro hair is a lot more. Now, is this the 9 ether hair that the people are talking about? That, you know, our hair is connected to the, you know, the energy in the plants, and we got some special, you know, is that what you're saying? You know, no, that's not. Okay, so this is not 9 ether hair, guys. So don't go there. We want to make this clear that not, and I'm going to talk about 9 ether hair in the documentary too, by the way. But this is not 9 ether hair. This is sheer science, sheer representation or expression of evolution right before our very eyes. And it's been dumbed down. It's been dumbed down. So Cheryl's going to take it away. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Let me give you an example. When you see the first gestation of a fetus, okay, nature doesn't do anything hard. Okay, it doesn't think, it has a law and a program. Okay, first thing you see is what? A black dot. You see where the eyeball is going to be. Right? And the baby is in what position? Okay?
Fetal.
Right. But a curl. And then it comes out and it unwinds. It shifts and then it comes out. The point is everything, everything, everything follows that code. Now, the variation, the further you get away from the humanness and the dominance of the humanness of a coil, is straight hair. We're just saying there's too much fruit and beautiful in science and biology in that, in chromosomes and science and math. There's too much good stuff. Once you flip it upside down, then we can talk about life. You flip it the other way, you shut it down, and that hair is just, then you've degraded it. So you've lowered it and downgraded it to just nappiness. Oh, it's just hard to comb. Oh, and then, we start having different conversations about, I want it to go. Don't you understand that even energy is important? So we talked about quantum mechanics is important, because even the direction of how Black people's hair grows is so akin to the scientific, all of what they call the atmospheric sciences, the stratosphere, the ecosphere, and all of those are the same circle as you cut a tree. Everything starts with a seed, and then it has rings, which means it has phases. It's called spectrum. It's just the difference of looking at it. But if you keep talking about straight hair as the end all be all, and the standard is, well, you're going to leave a whole lot of envelopes of life to open that can really answer a lot of questions, and then we can understand chemistry so much better.
Woo! That's how I couldn't even move my mouse fast enough. Me and Ebony, we in the chat, we did a laugh for Jesus over here. We what's that word? Ineffable. We're speechless. We're looking up words in the thesaurus to try to capture this experience that we're having. We are talking about Afro Cosmetology. We have just learned that in nature, everything, and as you talked, I don't know about you guys, I'm not saying that because I'm a drunk. I am drinking some wine here. But I was thinking about a grapevine, and how it just turns. I was thinking about when you talked about the flowers and the fetus, and me and Ebony, we in the chat like bad to the bone. This is a cognitive restructuring, guys. We really have to reshift the way we're thinking. This is Afro Cosmetology. This is like no other sciences that you're going to learn about in cosmetology school. This is coming soon. It's going to be followed. As a matter of fact, the documentary is setting the tone for all of this. And so we are very, very, very excited. Ebony, get you a glass of wine because we got a few more minutes. And we're going to come. We have to have a part 2 to this, which I already knew that we would. And I'm going to see if I can get some more cosmetologists in the chat. I'm going to see if we can get some more scholars in the chat to see what they may have to say or learn from this, because this is a very unique perspective when you're talking about the mouth or the shape of the follicle. It does not necessarily determine the texture of hair. So as we wrap this up, we're going to go to part 2. Let's talk about that part in cosmetology where they talk about the follicle being for our texture, which is coily or wavy textured hair. Because wavy and coily textured hair, wavy is supposed to be an oval that's like this, right? And then coily is supposed to be the ellipticated like this. So let's talk about those two shapes a little bit more, because this is where they have this, guys, as the 1, 2, 3. So the ellipticated is going to be your coily, and then your oval is going to be like my texture would be this right here. So talk about these two shapes. Let's just talk about that a little bit.
The shapes are only a evolution. The shape is also indicative of geographical and weathering in your genetic parents, in terms of them being dominant. You have two dominants, you're going to get Afro texture, very dominant hair. Okay. You have a dominant and a recessive. It's still going to be co-dominant. You have two recessives, it's going to be defined to straight. But the shape does not really have anything to do with, in terms of what the shape of the opening, because Afro curl, the more Afro, the more the hair is twisting underneath and within the dermis. There is a energy code around the follicle mouth of the instructions, in terms of now, and let me just say this, and this is one of the reasons why it's very important to teach Afro cosmetology. You have more nerve endings than you have veins in your head. Okay. So their hair does not need nutrition from blood to grow. That is not what's causing hair to grow. You have a phase. It's called a telogen, an androgen, and an anagenic, catagenic, and telogen. Well, what are you saying? You don't have no blood flow at that time? At any other time, there is a process where, and I know they show the follicle where they show the blue vein and they show the red vein going into the going up into the papilla. The point is as cosmetologists, we have to understand it is not that nutrition that is causing that bulb to sickle. And it's a sickle like this. It's whole, and then it begins to open up because it's down, it's up regulating. So it's like this, right? It's a sickle. So what causes that bulb to go from round to open up and be sickle, right? Absolutely. Okay. Right? And for it to sickle means that it's receiving, it's upregulating the cell energy that's allowing the cells to divide and to stack and to make the hair grow. We are saying in Afro cosmetology that there is already a electrical magnetic twisting going on that is causing the dominant prototype of Afro curly hair. It is already twisting below the skin. It's not twisting as soon as it hits out, and it's so tight that it squeezes and then it just, that is not logical. That is a European trying to get away from that there is something special that makes Afro curly hair that's dominant and make it what it is. And that is why you can't have straight hair as standard, because you're going to avoid that conversation. That's what I'm saying. Making straight hair is important and not a variation of Afro hair texture. Making it just as if it's just, okay, well, we know all hair is hair. Well, but we're going to make ours straight hair the standard then. Then if all hair is the hair, then make Afro curls, Afro textures the standard. But we don't want to do that because we're trying to avoid other conversations. And that's one of the things that I am trying to say, if that makes sense.
Hey, the chat, everybody was like, I got a mic right here. I ain't going to drop it. But
and by the way, Take a look at the back of what's on the betas. Ladosha on the poster. Yeah, right there. Back of you. Like totally in back of you. Oh. Yeah. Turn around. You see that molecule at the bottom? Bottom right.
Oh.
No. That's atoms. Atoms owns curl. They own spiral. They don't do nothing else. That is the motion that everything grows. That's it. Protons, neutrons, and electrons. And that's what's going on in your hair follicle. But if you have low and you have less recessive and less dominant, more recessive genes, instructions, you're going to have straight hair. It's as simple. It's not hard. You have more?
Yeah.
Got the kinka.
Right, yeah.
You're going to have some more going on. You're muted.
I'm sorry. I messed up the orgasm. I messed it up. I'm sorry. I messed up the orgasm. I'm so sorry. So, Cheryl, repeat it one more. I'm going to point back to the atom, and she's going to start. Take it from the top. I won't mess up the orgasm this time. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, you just have electrons, neutrons, and protons. They obey a to and fro. To and fro. Electromagnetic, neutral, cata, ana. It's the same process. That's how cells are divided, and that's why it goes grow, don't grow, still, winter, spring, summer. It's the same principle. It's just in different. We just need to have different conversations so we can go, oh, okay, nature is just doing its thing the same way it did there. It's just different. Yeah.
Right. So as you can see, guys, this removes race out of it. We're just, as she said, this is really simple science. Unfortunately, it would be racism that has prohibited, that has stood in the way and has blocked this kind of natural, this is just in nature, is what she's saying, that's taking place. And as she pointed out, I messed up the orgasm a little bit, but I'm trying to get y'all a little bit extra, feeling good. We're using this atom here, and she's saying everything spins. So from your atom, to your flowers and your plants, everything in nature has some movement. And because we're talking about this out of Africa theory and human evolution, we know there's the Neanderthal and I'm sure it's going to correct me, the Denisovans, I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but the Homo sapien survived. And it came out of Africa, and out of that, the hair came with it. And so in nature, everything is twisting and turning. So this is not a black thing, it's a human thing, but it starts with the curl formation coming first. So Cheryl, yes, Ebony, yes, Ebony is like feeling this all the way. Tiffany's in the chat like, woo, you done lit us up. Cheryl, let's wrap this up, and then we're gonna do part 2 next week. We're gonna go a little bit more into the terminology of the nappy, kinky, difficult to manage, and how you're going to use this Afro Cosmetology to get that kitchen, that nappy, and how these words, what we're going to do with these words that we're just so, they're our beloved kinks. So take us out, and then we're going to come back next week. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to leave you guys with, and one of the reasons why don't use the term number 1. Always just say the whole word first. And that's important because genes are, when archaeologists and geneticists and scientists and medical doctors and mathematicians and, and all the historians, and this is important to them because they're always trying to put things in time periods. And so why is scale important? Why is spectrum important? Why is the variations of the evolution important? Evolution always wants to find its mother, okay? And so when you find out and you look at some of the oldest paintings by Gnostics, Europeans who studied in, Alexandria or North Africa or in the Nile Valley, it is ironic that they would paint Adam and Eve. You've never seen, they go back 500, 200, 2,000 years. Those paintings are very old. And even in the Sistine Chapel, in the Louvre, in France. So Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, these people were very aware of things, but they still painted Adam and Eve, or even, the Sistine Chapel with God touching, the finger of Adam. They both had navels. Why would they paint these figures with navels? Because they had a mother genetic origin. And that's you. They get it. And so, and even in their consciousness, it's very important for us to find our way to an origin of thought so everything subsequently can make sense to us.
I almost want to get some tissue. I'm just saying, I'm telling you, I almost want to get some tissue because I think it's just a travesty. I know this sounds so cliche, the way that we have just been so dogged out, y'all. We've been so damn dogged out. It just makes you want to cry. The way it's almost poetic what you're saying about, and this is human contribution, but because our skin color, like I said, because of racism, we hope that this segment has elevated you. We hope that this segment has lifted you. It has ignited something in you to see yourself first. It's not number one. It's not hierarchical. It's not black versus white. If you have this texture of hair, this mother texture, you are first. And so, Cheryl, thank you for helping us to put this into context. And Ebony, you are right. They do know our power, but we have to know it today. So we're going to come back next week and we're going to do part 2 of Afro Cosmetology, and this time we're going to talk about the terminology that we're using, because when we're talking about learning all of this in nature, now we've got this language that we're so wedded to, particularly the nappy, the kinky, because people are so happy to be nappy and natural, and this is going to be really hard, but we're going to make it easy. So you're welcome, Kiki. Thank you guys so very much. Please don't forget to like and share the content. Miss Ebony, you was rocking with me. If you would like, you can email me at ladoshaw@yahoo. If you live in the United States, I will send the 3 products off to you. And so that we got a clarifying minty one, a leave-in, and of course you can't have Afro without some sheen. And so sorry about the N word. I apologize, but it's just vocabulary, right? Hey, somebody got on me about the N word, but I'm sorry, guys. Okay.
What N word?
I did. I said, so basically, if we go your route of what you're saying with the Afro Cosmetology, it removes the igga. How about I say that? The jigga shit from textured hair. But I had to say that because that is, when it comes to Afro textured hair, everybody loves it. like you said, nappy, kinky and coily, until you make somebody mad, then guess what?
The moment anyone lies to you, they have niggered you. So we don't have to be embarrassed about the word, because we have this information is what has been called hidden in plain sight. And we all know that we all have probably knew something was wrong. And we didn't know probably what to ask or where to ask it. But anytime something does not inform you and give you by omission or commission, or informed you or misinformed you, they are creating a niggered existence. You're living someone else's reality, which is a nigger. You're living outside of yourself. And unfortunately, I understand it's been bastardized and it has been a derogatory term. But however, we just have to not be that. We don't have to, I hope that we don't get caught up in the word.
Right. Yeah, we shouldn't, but I have to say that because that is how they see when we try to, talk about our hair or we put it down, it does become the jig of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
and
yes.
we have to take it out of that context because we're so much more. This is not, like she said, I think Kiki said, I don't even use the word. I don't like the word now. I never liked the word nappy. But, we're going to talk about that next week. And so Tiffany says she likes you. You're just so damn educated. All right. So, and this is why I'm so glad to partner with her. We will be back next week. You guys, I knew this was going to be a good topic, Cheryl. So thank you so much, Cheryl, for staying. We're about 20 minutes over this, here, but it was intense. So we're going to come back next week and we're going to talk about the nappy, kinky, can't you, don't you, and the kitchen. Somebody, we're going to talk about that and this evolution of Afro Cosmetology. You know what we say when we're always signing out, right? A whole lot of peace, a whole lot of love, most certainly a whole lot of hair. But check this out. If you ain't got no hair, don't want no hair, can't stand hair, hey, maybe you can't grow it, you plan on cutting it off, we say don't even worry about it. Just rub your beautiful bald head and those bald patches. It don't matter to us because those are beautiful too, and so are you. And they said they can't wait till next week. Sure, they can't wait. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you. Deuces.